First, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. This is quite a good showing, and we appreciate you being here to meet Jim and talk with him, and looking forward to the next couple of months of working with him and getting him elected. We had some really good food tonight, and I can say that because I didn't cook any of it.
But we also have to give a big hand to Deborah because she put this all together.
I'm Jim Dougherty. I'm running for Congress in Congressional District 2, which all of you live in. If you're in Kingwood or Atascocita or Humboldt. There is a map that Charlotte Kaufeld is holding. Because of the apparent gerrymandering of the district, we can't get it on a very large map. It takes a very large map to spread it out. Spread the message that there are people in Kingwood who share your views, and I found it. I appreciate that you've come out. I know it's because I'm running, but I don't think it's necessarily because it's me, because I've had a number of people say to me they think they're surprised how brave I am to get in this race. So I am happy that I'm in the race. Ted Poe is the incumbent. He didn't have an opponent a Democratic opponent, the last two go-rounds. And when my wife and I live my wife's Judy here, and I live inside the 610 loop, and we live by Memorial Park. We office in Montrose. We're lawyers. It's Dougherty and Dougherty. And we've lived there most of our lives. And so we have friends out here, however, I will let you know. Some of our closer friends, Rita and Linda Hartfield and Eminette Frater, and these folks we've known for decades now, and their kids have grown up together, and we come out here, and it's sort of like a trip when we come out here, just like it is when you guys take a trip into our city. Y'all are more used to it. So. And as a potential representative for you, I've been trying very hard to get used to coming out here, trying to cruise the streets, trying to get to know the neighborhood. And I want to just talk a little bit about what I believe in, and then open it up to questions from any of you. If you've looked at my website, it's jimfortexas.com. I have set forth on there topics that about 20 or 30 topics. I've tried to put down what my views are on them, because I wanted each of you to know where I stood. And many of you, if you've been involved with the Kingwood Democratic Club, you've seen me out here over the last several months. I filed for this office in early March, so I've been out here most of the months with the Kingwood Democratic Club, which I have to say is very impressive. Egberto heads the club. For the district I'm running in, when you look at this map that Charlotte's holding, you'll see that it's this big block in the upper right-hand corner that represents your neighborhood. And I was doing a statistical analysis on it the other day, and I think it represents approximately 27% of the voters in this congressional district. So it's probably the largest block. Cody Polk is running for state rep out here in that area. The club has been very supportive of both of us, and Cody will speak in a short time, and I just wanted to say I very much appreciate the support. They even gave us money, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate just the dynamism that comes from the club. As you stand out in this area, they're the key to moving forward and trying to turn this area a little bit lighter shade of red. And I would love to say they were going to turn it blue sometime soon, but I'm not sure of that. So anyway, I mean, in terms of where I stand, I mean, I feel like I very much align with President Obama on most of his issues. If not all of them, I'm not sure that I can think of anything I don't agree with him on. But I believe strongly in the Affordable Health Care Act. I believe in the need to reform our immigration laws and to help the young people that he's helping in the country with the regulations he's done, but I think we need the laws passed to actually give them permanent status. I believe in on the foreign policy level, a lot of people aren't talking about that, but I have on my literature out here, I believe in a peace-oriented foreign policy. I'm sure that's subject to interpretation, but I think that President Obama represents the point of view that I have. That was a big change from the Bush administration. I think that it's a situation where we're not doing a go-it-alone foreign policy. It's one where we're teaming up with our allies. They're talking about how the foreign policy of the United States is in question as we deal over there. But I do think we're going the right way. We're trying to support a gradual change toward democracy, and I believe that's the way we need to do it. And we're not doing that on our own. We're doing it with our allies. In fact, the condemnation today, I think, on Iran, I heard there was a condemnation that came out with the U.S. and it was Russia and China joining in, and I was very impressed by that. So, but I'm running for Congress, so it's not the Senate, and the Senate speaks more to foreign policy. So, on the Congress level, I mean, I think that one of the things that we have in common with the Republicans and the Tea Party people and the Democrats is the need to do something about our budget. And we can't do it too fast. I mean, I think we have to, because if you try to basically cut back, you're cutting back government, you're cutting back jobs, you're cutting back education, you're cutting back the necessities in life. But on the other hand, if you go in the extreme of spending too much money, puts you in the chance of getting deeper in the hole than we already are. And we are in a hole. So we have to recognize that there's something that has to be done about it, but I think it has to be done with moderation. It has to be done with cuts in spending, but it has to be done with also increased revenue. So I mean, I'm in a position of saying that I'm probably moderate on that. I might have said I was conservative early on in the race, and then Barrett said to me, "Don't dare say that again to this group." So I'm a CPA too. I'm a lawyer, I'm a CPA, and I'm a mediator. And since that time, one of my supporters had given me the latest book by Paul Krugman, and I've perused that, and I understand where that argument is coming from. And his argument would basically be saying that if we're going to have austerity, we should have it in the good times, not in the bad times. And we've seen that in foreign countries when Judy and I traveled quite a bit. I remember one particular place I was really impressed, and I think it was in Morocco. It was a palace of the leader there, and it was a palace where they said it was built during their worst economic times, and it was like, well, what's he doing, building a palace? And they said, well, he did it to provide jobs for the people in the community, in the whole area. And I think that's sort of where we're at. We need to provide opportunities for jobs, not necessarily government jobs, but we need to be creating jobs. I was at a conference today that was on sustainability of cities, and it was put on by a group that is focused on going green, and it was really impressive. It was a combination of corporations and nonprofits talking about what's needed to promote green cities, sustainable cities. And it was said, that when we're talking sustainable cities, we're talking about cities for our children and our grandchildren. We're not really even talking about it for ourselves. We're talking about how are we going to preserve what we've got. So on the federal level, we're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about how are we going to create highways and transportation systems and transmission systems for power and clean energy and so many things that seem to be values that I think most of you in this room will agree, we probably all agree on, and it's sort of it's difficult to understand how the other side, Ted Poe and Ted Cruz and Romney and a lot of the more conservative Republicans, they think so differently about how things need to be done. And that comes to one of the first points that people have sometimes said to me in questionnaires and whatever, is like, what am I going to do when I get to Washington to bridge the gap that has people not talking to one another? And I have to say, first thing is my personality. I like to talk to everybody. I like to listen to everybody. I like to assimilate the views and try to come up with solutions. I'm not a black and white person. I tend to see things in shades of gray. And in that context, I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm willing to compromise my views, but I tend to see things in ranges of opinions. I don't see things usually this way or this way. I probably see them this way or this way. And within those ranges, I think there is room for agreement in most everybody's mind, unless the people have locked themselves in and they can't move. So, like I say, I put my views out on the website. It's Jim for Texas. I've given a synopsis of my background so that you know who I am. And with that, I'd like to take any questions. Anybody else?
I would like to believe that you are not aligned with the Congressman Aiken of Missouri.
Let's just call it the name. Let's put it there.
My wife was priming me for coming in tonight. So.
Hey, I got women's issues because those are the most important issues I need right now.
Obviously,
And education. So that's
I always say that women's lib is really men's lib. I mean, because as we have strong women around us, I mean, that liberates men in so many different ways. I grew up Catholic, so I really feel like I do understand what the Catholic point of view is and what the conservative point of view is on abortion, but I also understand the other side, and I think the other side is where women have choice, what they choose morally and what they choose to do with their bodies is up to them. And I think Roe versus Wade is a perfect compromise because we're never going to get agreement on both sides. I mean, there's no bridge between those that believe life begins at conception and those that would say, well, no abortion under any circumstances, and the others that say, well, you should have choice. And I think obviously in the Aiken situation and other situations of just misconceptions of why women need abortions, why they have to have abortions, or even when we get into just Planned Parenthood, why they never get pregnant in the first place, and why we help women and families to understand how biology works.
When you go to Congress, who will tell you how to vote?
Good question. Good question.
I didn't quite get to where I was meaning to get to. I believe that what I can promise all of you is that I will have an open door. I will talk to all of you. I will, within my human ability to talk to everyone, I will communicate back and forth. I'll listen to your views. And as far as the decision to vote, it'll be me making the decision. Now, as far as how I'm going to do it, I want you to. I'm not committing to any particular view on anybody's thing, probably including my own, but I want to basically say, you need to learn how I think, what I think. That's where I have it on the website. I think you'll see that if you're in line with approximately where I am, then I'm going to vote sort of along the way that you believe that you want me to be. I want to have each of you give me viewpoints. If there's a bill that comes up, obviously not everybody's going to be tuned into what that bill is at any moment in time. But if you know me and know my views, you'll have some sense of where I'm going to go on it. I'm not going to have lobbyists telling me what to do. I'm not going to have campaign contributors telling me what to do. But I will listen to all of those people, including lobbyists, and try to take the best information and make the best decisions for the benefit of my constituents and of the state and of the country. And sometimes those might clash. And if they do clash, I go with the views that are most important to the country. Situations. Most